This is Lynn Suzek with the Video Church, and today we're talking about fighting. Being a fighter and a Christian sounds, unfortunately, I don't know about other places in the world, but in the United States, Christianity is a not commonly thought of as a violent, fighting person, a Christian. But I'm going to do a Bible study on that because the Bible is full of fighting and war and battles, and the battlefield is in our mind. The battlefield is in our will. We do know that we are fighters in the spirit, in the spiritual realm. We, Ephesians 6 has the armor, all the armor of God, and that God in the Old Testament, had people actually physically fight, and our weapons are spiritual, but I believe there is a need for the church to bring us up from childhood to be a fighter, because passivity is our enemy. Passiveness allows the enemy to get a foothold in our life, and we have to be tough. We have to be fighting off symptoms now. We have to realize that fighting symptoms is part of staying well. Okay, so Jesus already paid for and did all the work, but we have the ability to resist things that come on us because of that. And since we're so like, oh, I'm getting sick, look what's happened, we just allow it to happen. And I've learned the connection. I've observed, and I've said this before, but I'm going to say again, I've looked at people that I know that fight get instant healing, and it's like, what is the difference? We believe the same, but the difference between myself and them is the fighting. And the people that I know that struggle with symptoms, Curry Blake was a black belt, and he's the head of John G. Lake Ministries now. He was a black belt. He doesn't recommend doing that, but I recommend learning how to fight. I mean, only because of its affiliation with, like cultic, spiritual focus. He doesn't recommend doing karate. But if you can do it, Christians need to learn how to do this stuff, because well, let me just go on. Andrew Wommack, he was taken from being going down the pathway of being a math teacher, which was in his family to do. God had him end up getting drafted. Well, I think he did. He went to be, let's see, what's it called? The war veteran. He's a veteran of the Vietnam War. He learned how to fight, okay? And that's two. There's another guy that we know very personally, Mark Bostwick. He's got his own ministry now. He is on my video collection of videos on fighting aggressively for instant miracles. I just love that video, and I want to do more interviews with him. But he's a fighter. He grew up, before he was a Christian, he was very tough. Fighting all the time in school, he said, and then he went on to become a black belt or whatever, he did karate, and he's got a fighting mentality, and it's it gets into your personality when you physically fight. You become a fighter. So people that get really good at fighting in their personality, it's, you know, it starts off physical, because Andrew Wommack, he'll say, I mean, some people don't agree with this, but he's like, if somebody comes along now and takes my wallet, and I don't care if there's $10 in it, he's like ready to fight, you know, like, he's like, you want my, I'm not gonna give up my $10 because you're trying to take it from me. Like, if there were 3 guys, he said, trying to take my wallet, he would say, I know how to kill someone in whatever seconds, because he learned. And more, it's just reflexive. He goes, which one of you, he's imagining, which one of you wants to die for my $10? I'm gonna kill one of you before you get it. And it's like, that's why he manifests healing so fast. It's hard to, I understand it's hard to teach people how to get those healings to happen as fast as he does, and how to describe it, because Christians are brought up to be very non-fighting in the church. We, like, you know, don't believe in it, and it's really not helping us to not believe in fighting. And I really strongly believe that, and I've been fighting. In fact, I once was in a church for a little while where they were praying over me for healing, and a little girl at that time, I think she's older, like she just got married, but I never forgot it. She prophesied over me. She said, fight. God says, fight. So I've kept that in my heart, but I realize after all this time that I'm not as much of a fighter in my personality as I would like to be. And so it's been years. I'm still not, I've learned to fight off, like if I call symptoms, you know, come on me, I push back. But the thing that I've been dealing with, I've become really passive about. So I'm not sure how to stir it up in me, but I do know that I want to pass on that fight against whatever you have been dealing with must happen. And I know that if it got worse, I would fight. If it like whenever Satan's trying to get me like more like disabled, like with my neck, I'm like, no, you know. And if I start to get a cold or anything, I fight, and it doesn't, you know, I don't get it. I resist. I'm good at resisting right now, and I do feel things are changing. I just thankfulness and fighting basically are the keys to seeing these things change that already are ours. And the promised land has the victory. The victory is already there. God's already given us the land, and we just need to enter into it. And so there's many ways to look at it, but I just really believe fighting, resisting the symptoms of things is a strong part of our, it needs to be a part of our personality. And I believe that, you know, if I could name a church, the Fighting Church, you know, that would be interesting. A lot of the legalistic people would not come, and the people that were interested in that title, you know, they could be people that are like, they have a past, maybe even criminal type past, but they want to be Christians. They would feel comfortable coming to that. What's this called, the Fighting Church for? I'm you know, interested in that. Well, we need to be an army of Christians, and we need to learn how to use fighting, you know, from an inside, and not between ourselves, like fighting each other, but fighting the enemy and fighting sickness and fighting unbelief, fighting, that's what we're called to do. The battlefield is in the mind, as Joyce Meyer says. You learn how to take your thoughts captive. You have to learn how to cast down imaginations. Somebody that we've been, helping for a while, who's improving, her main problem is she's not realizing who the enemy is, the voice in her head that's been telling her to do dangerous things, that we are like, that is Satan. I don't care, it's Satan. And it feels like a familiar voice. I mean, we deal with people, we minister to people, and the fight is identifying and then being, she's a very passive, compliant person. Well, Christians are brought up that way, and that's why I see that as a problem. Fighting the enemy is part of our victory. So we can't have a victory without a fight, right? Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.